stigma needs to be dropped about mental health and stuff, all that stuff in general. Like, people need to start talking, especially lads, young lads, teenagers, whatever. Everyone needs to start talking about this, and I think it is becoming a lot better. The way we're talking about it now, it's not like we're talking about any big deal. We're talking about it, and like the fact you're talking about it and he's talking about it, it takes all the weight off it, because you're just talking about something. Like, it's not. It doesn't define who you are. It's just something that you have, and it's something that you need to work on.
My name is Viktor Kidson, and I'm here in Sydney with Bryan Kearney. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Really great show in Sydney last night. Good to be back in Australia. Got a few hours sleep after the show, so we're here Saturday morning, ready to get interrogated for you, the 2019 edition.
Before we do anything, I'd like to wish you actually a huge happy birthday.
Thank you, man.
It's tomorrow, right?
It's tomorrow. I go from being in my mid-30s to my mid to late 30s. So
closer to 40.
Yeah, I am, unfortunately. Yeah, but that's just how it is, and looking forward to my future.
I actually have a small present for you. It's very classic from here.
Oh, very
Tim
good.
Tams.
Excellent.
I don't know if you eat chocolate though.
I do eat at the odd time, yeah. I'm not opposed to treating myself every now and then, so thank you very much. They're really, really good.
Have you ever had like an age crisis or something like that?
Not really. I don't know whether it is to do with the job that I'm in or the work that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, but I still feel quite young inside. I don't have the same sort of job as everyone else, in that it's a 9 to 5 and you're working with a load of your same people every day in a job, in an office or stuff like that. It's me working by myself, being creative. So in a way, the fact that I'm still involved in a scene that I was involved in 18 years ago as a clubber, but now I'm involved in it as a record label owner, as a DJ, as a producer, I've sort of just still have the same sort of mindset, so I still feel quite young inside, maybe a little bit immature as well, but I think in terms of my maturity, I think it's increased over the past few years.
In our last interview from last year, we became very, very personal.
Yeah.
Where we talked about your dad passing away in cancer. How was that interview received? What were the comments that you got after that?
I don't read the comments about myself. That's something I've started doing for the past 2 years, and it's I think for anyone in a creative job, I think it's important that your opinion of yourself is based on how you feel about yourself, not what other people think. But in terms of feedback with regard to that, I did get a lot of like mails and messages, and people coming up to shows at me saying that they really enjoyed the interview. They were telling me their own stories and their own experiences along the similar lines. So I think in terms of the reaction, it was all very, very positive. You know, I've never really opened up that much. I'm glad I did, and hopefully today can be a little bit more uplifting and positive compared to that. This is stuff you need to talk about, you know. Everybody has this sort of stuff going on in their lives, and the more you talk about it, the easier it becomes, and time is a good healer, and I'm finding that out even a year on. There's tough times, there's hard times, but the healing process is all in time, and I've been feeling good now the past year. Some ups and downs, but you just have to keep going on, you know.
Do you think it was more healing than scary to open up like that?
It's a little bit of both. I think we're all sort of afraid we're all trying to portray this perfect image of ourselves. I think that's how social media is now. People are caught up between the ideal versions of themselves and the actual real version of themselves. So I think the version of me that you saw in the interview was a look at the person behind the character or the artist that is Bryan Kearney. Like, I'm a human being, I go through stuff, and there's stuff that I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis that everyone else does as well, you know.
How do you look at, because like we've talked about this before, you're not an active user of social media. How do you look at that or how do you look at people that might spend a lot of time, or maybe even too much time, on social media?
I think it's just in the last 10 years, I think social media has just engulfed people's lives. Like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and people are just really getting caught up in it. And I think Facebook and Twitter in particular can be quite toxic in terms of comments and people's interactions with each other. Because take for example, if there's an argument on Twitter or something is posted on Twitter or Facebook, the reactions that go on between two people, like people like that would never have that type of conversation if they were talking person to person. So I think it gives you the sort of almost a disguise, or to be able to go undercover and to present all these views to other people, and it's just completely toxic. And in terms of Instagram, I think it's having a very detrimental effect to how people view themselves, because with Instagram, it's all about portraying this perfected image of yourself that you want to see the world to see how you are. So you're caught between this, your real self and your ideal self. So your real self is the person who's pressing to post a photo, and then the ideal self is the person in the image on your Instagram. And I think a major problem that's going on in the world today, and especially for young people, is it's the problem of comparison. They're always going to be comparing themselves to the people they see on Instagram, their friends on Instagram, the so-called perfect lives that everyone else has. So kids growing up now, they're seeing all this stuff, and if things aren't fantastic or perfect in their lives, they're going to feel like, oh, my life is shit. So it's going to create mental health problems, self-image problems and stuff like that. So with me, when I removed that part, say my reading Twitter mentions, I think it was 2 years ago, 2017, we spoke about this. I haven't checked it in 2 years. I don't read comments on Facebook. Instagram, I might read the odd time the messages in my inbox and stuff, but I just think it's important for me to have how I view myself is how I feel on a daily basis. It's not my self-worth and how much I like myself is not based upon the opinion of others. It's based around a very small circle of people who I speak with on a daily basis, and once they're okay with me and I feel okay about myself, that's a lot more important to the overall majority of what people's opinion of me is.
Do you have any tips for people who are stuck on social media, or who actually don't even know that they're stuck and use it too much?
Delete it. Delete all your apps, delete it off your phone. There's actually a really good thing now on the iPhone update called Screen Time, where you can actually see and you can analyse how much time you're spending on social media. If you can't do it straight away, maybe cut it down, maybe limit yourself to a certain amount per day. But everyone is different. Everyone uses social media. It can have a lot of positive aspects as well in terms of promotion for my work and stuff. But it was just for me that for years I was spending far too much time on social media, and to be perfectly honest, I'm quite a sensitive person, so if I read something negative about myself, it hurts, So, but when you're working as a producer or an artist, you're in a creative world, so you have to open yourself up to the fact that people aren't going to like everything that you do, and that's just the way things are, and it's fine. People's opinions, it's just subjective, it's not real life. So when I removed that aspect from my work, from my life, from my creative process, it helped a little bit in terms of the work I was doing, happiness on a day-to-day basis, and it just removes a sort of a toxic part from your life. I think I probably should be a little bit more interactive with people if they're going to the effort of message me and stuff. So I need to try and find a way to sort of work my way back in to sort of maybe
find a balance.
Yeah, maybe interact a little bit more in, but my number one thing in my life now is my happiness and how I'm feeling on a day-to-day basis. So I have things that I've been working on the past few years to sort of increase that and to keep that sort of going. So that's more important to me than sort of appeasing people who have gone to the effort of messaging me, It's my way of thanking them is to continue making music and being creative. So this helps me in that way.
Researching for this interview, I was also listening to your track "More to Life."
Yeah.
One of the first ones, right?
Yeah.
What did your life look like back then? How old is it now? 7, 8 years?
More to Life would have been made in 2006. It would have been probably quite...
Is that 13 years ago?
Yeah, 13 years ago. So I was working as an apprentice electrician on a building site, and I was working 12 hours a day. Didn't really have any time to work on music apart from in the evenings and maybe some time at the weekend. So the name More to Life, it means like there's more to life than doing this job, and you can hear the track itself. It's quite angry, it's quite aggressive. So I think it was exercising a few.
Were you frustrated back then? Or?
Yeah, I was pissed off because I knew I was never going to do that job. Like I was about 2.5 years into my apprenticeship at that stage, and like I was getting up every single day to go to a job that, number one, I didn't really like, number two, I didn't really have an interest in, and number three was I knew I wasn't going to be doing it in 2 or 3 years time. So I was like, what's the point? Why don't I would have loved to have just quit, but like that was just maybe being a little bit immature. Like you need to think about your future and having something to fall back on. So
but wait, I was speaking to your girlfriend before this, and I asked her if she knew you while you were an electrician or studying, but she didn't.
No.
But she said that you couldn't have been a good one because you can't do anything electric around the house.
No, I'm fucking useless, man. Oh, I'm telling you, I'll change a couple of light bulbs. That's probably about it. But
is it true that you are a qualified electrician,
yeah,
but that you can't change a plug?
No, I can't. But in my defence, there's probably a lot of lads like this in Ireland as well. The company that we worked for, they didn't really train us in the way of being a proper electrician is. Like I was working in the Intel factory, so it wasn't like having a proper apprenticeship where you're working and you're wiring houses and stuff. Even when I was doing my apprenticeship, the lads that I was working were saying that you'd probably be more qualified to become a butcher than an electrician after that, because you're not going to learn anything in this environment. And but it was the funny thing was, when I was coming to the end of doing my apprenticeship, like I was maybe missing 2 or 3 days a week. I didn't care, but the fact was even my foreman and my bosses, they knew I was doing this, and like I was going away. I had to actually come to Australia for the first time, and
to play or to
yeah, it was like December 2008, and I was coming here to play at Sensation White in the side room, and I just said, look, I felt Australia to play, but they'd no problem with it because they knew it wasn't the case where I wasn't coming in. They knew that I was doing something that I really wanted to do, and they were always really sound to me and saying, yeah, it's no problem, if you want to go and do it, you can do it. Because
so within like while you were studying to become an electrician, you played Sensation White in Australia. This
was like at the very end of it, because I had to finish like 4 months to complete my time. So they had me, I wasn't even doing electrical work. I was working like as a general operative, basically, like tidying up and sweeping floors and stuff. It was insane, man. So like I was going away doing gigs, and then I was coming back in there on a Monday morning sweeping floors. You know, it was a bit of a fucking fall from grace. You know what I mean? You're after having the highs of performing and traveling and enjoying your weekend, and then I was coming back in there. So in order to complete my apprenticeship, I had to sweep floors and do things for people. Oh, it's just...
Was it hard to go full-time music?
It was. It certainly was, because at that time it was the beginning of the recession and the economic crash. So it was a big risk to do, and like I wasn't living at home. I had rent to pay, I had bills to pay, and in terms of being able to pay my rent, I had to keep hitting my savings in order to survive. You know, it was tough. There was a lot of anxiety there around that time, but I knew that this is what I always wanted to do. This what I had to do, so I just kept going and going, and I never gave up, and I've worked hard to continue that on, and I'll keep on continuing to work hard over the next few years to keep on going.
We're in Sydney. In Australia, I didn't know that you played here actually 2008, but I know Australia has a very big place in your heart.
It does, yeah.
And you played here 4 years ago. Tell me a little bit about what happened 4 years ago.
Yeah, so 4 years ago I came over for ASOT 700. So it was in Melbourne at the Hisense Arena on the Friday night. It was an amazing show, and then we came to Sydney for the next night, and I was due to close out the event. And about 10 or 15, about maybe 20 minutes before I was due to go on, excuse me, Jeanette, the promoter, came up and said, look, we're really, really sorry. There's been some incidents and the police want us to shut the gig down. I don't know whether you're going to be able to play. And like, I was absolutely heartbroken. But then she was saying that two people were after dying as well, and that just made it worse. Like, I felt there was like a pang of guilt nearly there as well. Like two kids are after coming to a show at a show that I'm a part of, and they're after dying. Like, it was horrible. But then they said I could go on, and then like I started my set, but I was always sort of aware that it could get pulled at any stage. So about 20 minutes into my set, they come up and said, look, you're going to have to stop. And I had to stop, and I killed the music, and people obviously weren't happy because they'd no idea the incident that was after going on. So at that stage I started getting bottles thrown at me and coins and all sorts, and I'm just standing there, look, I'm sorry, this isn't my fault. Like, two people are after dying. And I was really, really upset, and I just remember walking back to the backstage area, and just the fact that two people were after dying, the work that I had put into that set, and the fact that my set had been ended so quickly, I just burst into tears, and I was really, really upset. And I was in the dressing room backstage, and Fadi from Ali and Feel came into me, and Armin came into me, and we said, look, it's really, really bad. We're sorry that this has happened. I was just like, I know I'm disappointed. I'm just, there's two people after dying as well, you know. So, but I don't want to sound rude, but from that came a special sort of connection with Australia, because we organised a solo tour. I feel like there was unfinished business in terms of playing in Australia properly. I felt for the first time, so we organised a tour to come back so that I could sort of finish what I had started, because that was I started my set with Vinavici, The Tribe, which was a track that no one had really heard at that stage, and I think I was one of the first people to have it. So I played it, and like that track sort of blew up, and everyone was talking about that track. And then I came back then in March, and Sydney sold out. So there was like nearly 2,000 people at the club. Melbourne sold out in like 4 hours, and then I played in Adelaide on the Sunday, and it was about 700 or 800 people there. So it was just like, fucking hell, something special's after starting here. So ever since then, I've come back a few times with Subculture. I've done some amazing big shows in Sydney and Melbourne with them. We did Key 4050 for the first time in Australia here. I did Carnage here in Melbourne at a festival hall. There was like 1,800 people there. We did it in Sydney as well. That sold out. So I've had a great affiliation with Australia over the past few years, and it's been a fantastic place. I get a lot of support, and I know from the demographics of my socials and Instagram, Facebook, Twitter and stuff like that I do have a big following here. So I'm really, really grateful for it, and it's great to be back, and I'm really looking forward to Melbourne tonight.
You had actually, I think it was during our interview last year, you had an idea about a full-on Kearney show, right? Yeah. That you did in Australia, or?
Yeah, it was in Melbourne. It was in Melbourne that I did it. I think you could have earned a little commission off that, man. I think I'm gonna have to give you some money for that one. Yeah, so we discussed that, and we were discussing the side project that I have, the Kearney aliases, which I'm not gonna say it's techno. It's just more tech-based music. So you opened up a little idea in my head there, and that's the thing with me. Once I get an idea in my head, I sort of move towards it. So I had, before the interview we did at ASOT last year, I already had 2 or 3 new tracks done. So I had set myself the goal of having an hour's worth of music to use. And I remember we were in Mexico, I think it was, myself, John and Neil, and we were talking about the Subculture event, and we were trying to come up with ideas, and I put in the suggestion of the Kearney one that we were after talking about 3 weeks earlier. So that got locked in. So then I really had something to work towards then for September, and I feel that's how I work best, when I have something to aim for, like a strict date, a really big show. I work really well. I'll get in and I'll get the music done. So over the next few months, I think I made about 7 or 8 tracks together. So combine that with all my solo trance stuff, and then the stuff with Key 4050 as well. I had really solid year in my new studio. So the investment that I made and the time I put in the studio was really beneficial last year. So there's talk of another Kearney show at a big event towards the end of this year. So I'm really glad that I have that to look forward to this year, so I can get to work with a new folder of music to play at that, because that the new studio that I put in last year, I really feel that it's developed me as an artist. I know from hearing my own tracks and when I'm playing them out, you are able to sort of hear the improvement in your tracks through the dynamics of how they feel more than how they sound. It's the sort of the dynamics and the bass and the system and how you feel on the stage. You can hear the improvement in the tracks. So I feel that in the last year I've really sort of come on and developed as a producer. I think I've always been my DJing has been good, but now I feel like my producing is catching up with that. Yeah.
The track that you played last night was the Kearney version, I think, of All Over Again. Yeah. How did that come about, to do another version of that incredible track?
Yeah, well, obviously All Over Again it's the biggest track I've ever made. It's been huge. It got so much support. People love it, but I wanted to sort of create a darker sort of version, because the original version of All Over Again had a slightly darker theme in its lyrics. So you can hear it, the vocals that I actually use in the first verse of the dark dub, they're actually different to the ones in
there's more vocals
but that was the first version. So I felt that those vocals they sort of suited a darker version of the track, and I know from playing the bootleg or the mashup that John made of Say Nothing with Stay With Me, it's been a huge track. Every time you play that out, it works really well. So I think the combination of a vocal that everybody knows with a slight twist and that sort of techie driving style works really well. And I sort of did stay true to the original a little bit in terms of the samples used. I wanted to try and keep it as stripped back and as classy as possible, and that was the first track that I opened with at Melbourne, and it's been a really big track on my sets this year, and I look forward to keep playing that track. I really liked how that one turned out, actually.
Backwards man, the backwards man.
Tell me about your January. How was that?
January was actually really good for me this year. I'll be honest with you, from October to December, I sort of went through a rough sort of patch. I what's the word? I don't want to say suffer, but winter isn't a good time for me, and that seasonal affective disorder is something that sort of has an effect on me for those months when the days are getting darker, the weather is getting worse, and I just feel like that my overall mood and how I feel about myself and my thought process and my anxiety levels and stuff, they always seem to go up around this time. So January has actually been really good, because I've eaten well, I've been going to the gym every day, I've been going to bed at the same time every night, I've been getting sleep, I've been tracking what I eat. I haven't really drank too much alcohol.
You didn't play at all?
I had one gig. I had 2 shows last week in Seattle and Phoenix, and even then I remember on the Sunday the jet lag was starting to kick in, and I was there, these fucking feelings again, man. This fucking job, it has me so I'm broken already after 1 week. But yeah, as I was saying, from October to December, it was just, I just hate winter. I know I'm Irish and pale skin, but you're lucky now. You have a nice tan on you. Like I look good with a tan as well.
I told you could have stayed longer in Australia, but you're doing a real quick in and out.
Yeah, I literally landed last night at 7:30. I started playing at 11 for 4 hours till 3 a.m. It's 11:15 on Saturday morning, so it's really is an in and out weekend. I have to go to Melbourne now. My flight is in 2.5 hours. So it's a full on weekend.
What do you do during these dark winter months? to lift your spirit?
Do you know what I actually had to do? It got to the stage where I was like drinking like chamomile tea every day to try and like bring down my anxiety levels. I actually bought one of these like light therapy boxes that emit like it's like a natural light to sort of it sort of puts like vitamin D into your mind and your body. I started using an app called Headspace, which is like a guided meditation. So I was doing that like 2 or 3 times every day. But in terms of using that, it was almost making me feel worse, because it was making me almost go more inward and looking for answers and stuff. And I find with my anxiety, I feel like that when it starts getting a control of me, it feels like I'm going back into a time when I was really, really bad, and it sort of takes over. It's like a pain body. It's like the way I can describe anxiety is like it's almost like a volcano. There's 3 stages of a volcano. There's active, which means it's on all the time. There's dormant, which means like it can go active any time, but you're okay. It's not going off, and it's extinct. And the thing is with anxiety, it's never going to be extinct. Anxiety is something that you manage. It's not something that you control, and it's not something that you could fully get rid of. So they were things that I was doing to help myself with it. I was keeping really active. I was trying to go out for walks during the day, and I was sort of just talking to Adele as well, just saying, look, I just feel fed up and down, and just these fucking winter months, they're just playing on my mind and stuff. But she actually, I remember that I was driving to the airport to go play Gatecrasher at Christmas, and I was telling her all this, and she just said, look, like, it's not 10 years ago, you're not the same person, like you've grown up a lot and all this. And it seemed
But are you being drawn back to previous when it was worse?
It's like a familiar feeling when it goes bang all over again. And she just said something to me that sort of, it was like a switch went off, where I was like, it was just like boom, and it just bit by bit and day by day it started to go down and down and down. And ever since she said that, I've felt really, really good. Really, really good. Like my anxiety levels are way down. My happiness has increased, and I'm hoping it doesn't come back. I'm sure it will come back at some stage, but I've had a really good 2019 so far, and I'm really, really excited for the future. And the fact that Manchester United are doing a lot better than they were before Christmas, and that they've a new manager. And I know it's as stupid as that sound, but I think that how bad they were doing was actually having a really negative effect on my health. I'm serious here. If anyone who's into their football here will probably understand if they support Man United as well, because their biggest rivals are Liverpool, and they're winning the league at the moment, so they have a chance to go on and win that for the first time in 29 years, and that's causing me a little bit of anxiety at the moment. But Adele supports Liverpool, so I'm trying to put my own shit to the side.
She asked me to ask you how Liverpool were doing in the Premiership.
Yeah, they're winning it, but they made a little mistake the other night, so there's still a little bit of hope they can fuck up. I really do hope they do. Sorry, Adele.
I was speaking to Laurent Veron, Airwave, before this interview, and he said that every musician that he's known has like a dark place that they go to. Do you have that as well?
I think everybody does. I think everybody has a dark place within themselves, but I feel that my dark place is the dark creative side of me, and I'm not a violent person. I've never been in a fight in my life, and the darkness that's in me, I think, tends to come out in my productions and my sets, and the harder, more darker tracks that I make, I think, are nearly a way for me to transmit that darkness into something creative. But I definitely think he is correct. Yeah, I think everybody who's creative has like a dark, sinister side to themselves. Yeah.
How is it with the people around you? How important is it that they understand how you feel, and how, like, what do you need to be able to survive in what you do?
In terms of work, or
in terms of the anxiety, in terms of the traveling, in terms of creative process, everything?
I think it's very, very important that like this stigma needs to be dropped about mental health and stuff, all that stuff in general. Like, people need to start talking, especially lads, young lads, teenagers, whatever. Everyone needs to start talking about this, and I think it is becoming a lot better. there's a few lads I've spoken to, the same sort of stuff. They maybe have it a little bit more extreme than I do, but the way we're talking about it now, it's not like we're talking about any big deal. We're talking about it, and like the fact you're talking about it and he's talking about it, it takes all the weight off it, because you're just talking about something. Like it's not, it doesn't define who you are. It's just something that you have, and it's something that you need to work on. And I think there's always a positive intent behind those feelings. It's just sort of your body just saying to you, look, this isn't working the way you're doing it. I think you need to do it in a different way. And if you have a little bit of self-compassion towards yourself, and don't give yourself a hard time about it, go speak to someone. You can see that other people are going through the same sort of thing. All these little things I think can add up into making the discussion about mental health and all these type of things. It'll make it a lot easier. I think I feel really sorry for young people growing up in the world that we're in now, because I was never we never had to deal with like social media when we were that age. Like school was difficult enough. I can only imagine what it's like now with the way you have to keep up your looks, your appearances, and I'm coming back to this comparison thing again. You're comparing yourself against everyone else, your body image, your all that sort of stuff. So I just really think that it's important that people speak about it, and I think as the years go on, it's going to become less and less of a hassle for people to speak about. So I hope people do continue to speak about it, and don't be afraid to speak about it. Like we're all human at the end of the day. There's only so much we can do,
and it's something that everyone will go through every now and then as well.
It's part of life. Everyone's going to go through this.
But do you think, as a world traveling artist, do you think it could affect your career or your reputation in a way by being open with this?
Not really. I don't really. This comes back to what I was speaking about earlier. There's probably a circle of around 7 or 8 people whose opinions probably matter to me. So I'm not here to do this interview to big myself up or to make myself look in any way. I'm here to speak to you, to continue on our discussions from previous years, to show you a little bit of an insight into who I am and how I live my life and what I do. I'm not here to sugarcoat myself. I'm not here to be anyone else other than who I am. If people have any comment about me talking about this stuff, if they're laughing at it, that's their shit, man. I'm not concerned with what they're doing. I'm just speaking about my own experiences, and if people are going through the similar stuff and like thinking that everything's perfect because people are playing all over the world, I'm just here to tell you that like at the end of the day, we're all human. We all have emotions. We all go through the same shit, so we're all the same at the end of the day.
What did Bryan Kearney, the future electrician, have to go through in the music industry in the beginning? How hard was that? And what did you realize about yourself?
I sort of realized that I never wanted to be an electrician. I knew that the DJ and making music was all that I wanted to do. But like that, in terms of like, I wasn't looking after myself then. Personally, I was partying too much. I was drinking too much, staying up for days on end, and basically not looking after myself. And over the past few years, I've just come to realise that the only thing that matters in life is your health, both your physical. I think your present just fell off the chair there.
It's your present now.
I just come to realise that as you get older and as I'm continuing to grow in this scene, that my health is the most important thing. I need to look after my body, my insides, my brain. So like it's all about eating the right foods, getting the right amount of sleep, doing my shows, making sure that I'm performing to the best of my abilities, being respectful to everybody who books me, being respectful to people who are coming to a show, and stuff like that. And I want longevity in this scene. I want to leave this scene on my own terms. I don't want it to be a case of where I fall away and people just forget about me. I want to continue to grow. I can continue to develop. And I think with the way I'm currently working and the attitude that I have and how I want to just keep on improving my general health, that's going to help in terms of prolonging my career. So that's all I can really do. I seem to say this to you every year, but I feel like I'm maturing year on year as a person and as an individual, so it just needs to continue on.
Last night you played Beetlejuice from the Key 4050 project.
Yeah.
We spoke a little bit about it, and you told me that you wanted to keep them a little bit separate. The projects, you and Key 4050.
Yeah, that's well, myself and John, we said that we needed to keep Key 4050 as a separate entity to myself and John O'Callaghan, but with it being, we launched the album last week, and it's released on the February 15th through Black Hole Recordings. We just said that for the next couple of weeks, we're just going to play some tracks off the album as a means of promotion. So I played a couple of them last night because Sydney is a place where they wouldn't have heard Key 4050 stuff before. A nice little surprise for them. I did it last week in Seattle and in Phoenix as well, and they were really appreciative of the fact that we played the tracks. But I think it is important to keep it separate, because myself and John have our own solo individual careers, and we have our collaborative project Key 4050, so I think it is important to separate the two.
Tell me about the name for the project.
There's a full documentary coming that myself and John filmed in. We spent a day retracing the older days in Dublin, and this will be fully explained in the documentary. So it's all on video and stuff, so you'll be able to see exactly what it is. So I'm going to let you wait for that one. When the documentary comes, everything's explained. It's actually a really, really good documentary. It shows you like our background, where the ideas for the album came from. We retrace our youth. We go back to like one of the clubs where that had a massive impact on us, other venues, and then we walked around parts of Dublin and describing the impact that it has had on us as people and stuff. So the documentary will be released the day that the album is released on February 15th, so you'll enjoy that one, I think.
What did you and John dream about when you guys did music in the beginning? How, like, you met and you did music in his apartment.
Yeah.
Like, what did you guys dream about back then?
Well, at that stage, we met in roughly 2002, and at that stage, I was working on a pirate radio station. For your younger viewers out there, pirate radio stations are what used to be on normal radios that used to play like dance music. Now you can stream everything wherever you want, so just letting you in that. So I used to have a weekly show. We both used to be regulars at a nightclub called the Temple Theatre, and Mauro Picotto would have been our idol and our hero that we wanted to emulate and to grow up towards. So John was living in an apartment in Dublin city centre, and it was the first place we ever started producing music together. So 18 years later, roughly 16, 17 years later, we now have the album, which draws heavy influence from those days. So in terms of what did we want to be back then, I don't really know. We were sort of just making it up as we go along. Like, I don't think either myself or John could ever envisage what has happened to us over the past 15, 16 years, and I think especially with how Key 4050 has been received so far. It's still in its infancy stage, and it still has a long, long way to go. So we're both extremely excited about where it can go.
How much do you think it meant to grow musically and friendship-wise with John as well? Because you guys have kind of done this journey together.
Yeah, we have. Like, I think it happened for John a lot faster because he still is a far better producer than me. I'm catching up a little bit, but he was like, the stuff he was making 15, 16 years ago was mind-blowing. Like, he's only literally started making music, and he was making incredible music from the very start. So, sorry, what was that question again?
How much did it mean, do you think it meant, to have John, like, not next to you, but to be able to talk to him over the past couple of 15 years in music?
I think it's really good to have someone to sort of talk to about this, because when you're doing it by yourself, you don't really have anyone to gauge it against, or you've no one to bounce ideas off. And like, for the last 15, 16 years, we've been bouncing ideas off each other. We've been working together, making tracks together. I've done tracks on his label, he's done tracks on my label. He's played at a Carnage event as Joint Operations Centre, and I've been playing subculture events for years. So we've had a very close working and tight relationship for a long, long time, and I've been friends and colleagues with John for a long time, you know. So it's we've always had a great relationship, and I'm excited to where Key 4050 can end up, because it's limitless what we can do. Like we don't set any rules on ourselves, any limitations. We just want to make original music that sort of draws inspiration from the past, but with a futuristic style.
There's also a lot of Mario Picado influence on the Key 4050 stuff. Do you still have the T-shirt that you made, the Mario Picado T-shirt?
The Celtic jersey, is it the jersey with Maro 1 on the back?
No, you painted one, I heard.
Yeah, I used to make loads of T-shirts. That's what I used to do. I used to be obsessed, like these people that I used to idolise these people. So I used to make like Maro Picado T-shirt. I think I had a Scott Project T-shirt. I had a Paul Van Dyke T-shirt. I think I have a photo of the Paul Van Dyke T-shirt. Actually, send that.
Oh, you should. We should definitely add that right now.
Yeah, I can send that over to you. Like I was a fanatic about music growing up, and my passion still remains for it now. It's still as strong as ever. Like I've always loved it. I probably will always love it, and I'm really, really grateful to be able to work in the scene. Really, really grateful to be able to be creative and to be able to do what I do and be my own person within the scene.
What are you musically working on right now?
I know where this is going. Yeah, my one of my tasks for the wedding is to choreograph all the music.
Oh, really? I actually didn't know that was. I should have known,
well,
but
I wouldn't go as far as choreographing, but have an input into what's played on the day. We're gonna have like a live singer on the day. We're gonna have a guy playing on the piano as well on the day. So it's up to me to come up with the ideas and the songs we're going to choose and the song that we'll have walking down the aisle and stuff. So
how's it going?
Adele has been a superhero in all of this. She's the one who's been really organising everything, and I haven't had to do fuck all, to be honest. She's been really, really good. I'm trying to help out in any way I can. We're in the middle of trying to sort out our honeymoon. So hopefully that can be sorted this week, and like it's getting close, man. It's only 4 months away now. It's flying in, and I hope you can be there to join us.
I would love to be there for the wedding, yeah, and thank you for inviting me as well.
No problem.
What can we expect musically from the wedding?
Well, we have Deirdre McLaughlin, who sang "Open My Mind." She's going to be part of the day. We've also booked, I don't know if you've seen a guy called Paul Skelton online that does the cover of trance tracks on his piano, so he's going to be part of the day as well. As part of the guests, there'll be various DJs and stuff. I'm not sure what will be playing, mate. I'd say there'll be a little bit of dance music towards the end of the night.
Is anybody playing?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think I'll be playing. I think that'll be one day where I'll have to have a day off. But yeah, we answered this already, but it's up to me to sort of organise the music. So
but like musically, could you ever use like one of your own tracks, or?
I don't want I'd want the day to be about us, not about me. You know, it's that day is about the two of us. It's not just about me, but we'll have to come up with a list of stuff that we want played between us, and then we can.
I thought you were in charge.
I can't do anything by myself.
How did you guys meet? You and Adele, your future wife.
Yeah, it was in Ibiza, 2010. She was living over there for the summer, and she was friends with some friends of mine, and that's how we first met.
And how did you end up getting her number? Did you see that on the paper?
No. I remember I was sitting in my. This is actually a good one. I was sitting at home in my mum's house with my old dog, and I was talking to her. I had kept sort of wormed my way into her through Facebook and talking to her through that. I just said, "Oh yeah, I'm sitting at home here with my dog. She's lovely. I love my little dog." And I think she said something like, "Oh, I'd love to see what she looks like." And I just said, "Send me your number there, and I'll send you a picture." So that's where it started from there. That's how I wormed my way in.
And in 4 months, you're getting married.
Yeah, 9 years. Well, we were going out with each other 7.5 years now. So it'll be nearly close to 8 years in June. So a special day ahead.
We have touched on this before, but not really officially. But any expansions of the family or anything like that planned? Or
Well, that's hopefully that something can happen in the future. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, let's see.
Have a good day.